está de facto, mas está no centro. Nós não. As pessoas aqui vêm de propósito e os acessos não são assim tão bons para isso, mas eu está bem.
We're in Setúbal, Portugal today at a rather busy Cafe Moderno, and if you saw my video on Moscatel, this cafe was in that video. It was actually the first time I visited this cafe. Since then, we've come back here many, many times. We've gotten to know the owner, Pedro, a little bit. Talked to him in our terrible broken Portuguese. And we've even seen him down at the beach bringing his grandkids to the beach, so we know he's a good guy. And we also bring all our friends here when they come to visit from out of town. People come from America, we bring them here to show them a real, authentic cafe in Portugal. I'm calling this video Neighborhood Bars of Setúbal. I was thinking of calling it hole-in-the-wall bars. That, you know, yeah, it's kind of a hole in the wall, but that really doesn't convey what this place is. I was thinking of calling it dive bars of Setúbal, but there's a stereotype to dive bars. It makes it sound kind of menacing. So even though sometimes you'll hear people in Portugal refer to dive bars, they're not really dive bars. You're in no danger of being shivved. That's what I think of when I think of a dive bar. That's not what this is. It's a neighborhood bar. These are people in the Torino neighborhood who come here and get their coffee or get their Sagres beer or get a little glass of wine or a Moscatel or whatever. You know, we're from the next neighborhood over, São Julio, the Convento neighborhood. We're kind of outsiders here, even though it's, you know, 5-minute walk maybe from here. These are people from this neighborhood who are hanging here. Pedro knows them all. Anyway, let me tell you what I got. So what I call this is a Café com Cheirinho, which is an espresso with a shot of aguardente, which is the fire water made from the leftovers from the winemaking process, the grape skins, the stems, and the seeds. And it's distilled spirit, it's fire water, it's super strong. And you put a shot of that in with your cafe. And I've called it Café com Cheirinho when I've ordered in other places. When I've talked to other people in Portugal about this drink, I've called it Café com Cheirinho, and they understood what I was talking about. When I asked Pedro, he didn't know what I was referring to. I said, Café com aguardente, and he understood what that was. But he called it something else, and there's a fly who's been buzzing me all day. He called it something else, and my Portuguese isn't good enough to be able to understand exactly what he called it, but he had a different name for it, and maybe that's just what they call it in this neighborhood. Maybe that's what guys from his generation call it. I don't know. I don't know what the name is. I'm going to have to do some more investigation. But most places, if you call this a Café com Cheirinho, they'll know what it is. Coffee with a shot of liqueur. Aguardente in this case. So, give this a try. I've already been sipping it, you can tell. So, you get the nice bitterness of the espresso. You get a little, you know, blow out your nasal cavity with the aguardente. It's a nice thing, you know. If you go to Italy, you'll get a cafe corretto, same idea. Go to Greece, maybe you get sambuca in your coffee. I don't know. But it's a nice way to start off your day. I haven't seen a lot of people ordering this particular thing here, but this is a good way to start your day. How much was it? We had a little bit of language barrier there. I thought I understood him, but he said 70 cents in Portuguese is what he said. And I didn't think it could possibly be that little. So he wrote it down for me. Yes, indeed, 70 cents was how much he charged in euros. So that's like 80 cents in the US, 77 cents in the US on the conversion rate. So that's all it is. Basically the same amount that it costs to buy a coffee. Topped it off with some aguardente. So that's what it is. good way to get going today, and we'll try some more neighborhood bars. We're in the Salgado neighborhood of Setúbal. This is right by the train and the bus station. So if you're coming into Setúbal and taking mass transit, this is probably where you're going to land. It's like a block away from there. This is one of my favorite places called Painel. And the first time we came here, we were actually meeting some friends at another place in downtown Setúbal. And we sat down for a coffee, and they came in, this couple that we know, and they ordered a wine, and they were just beside themselves. The wife especially was beside herself that a glass of wine cost €3, $3.30 approximately. She just couldn't believe it was that expensive. And she was just complaining the whole time and said, we're going to take you to a different place. So they brought us up here, which is, I don't know, 10, 15-minute walk away. And they're like, here a glass of wine is 50 cents or whatever it was. It was less than €1. And so we sat here and we had a great time. And we've been coming here ever since when we're in this neighborhood because it is such a fantastic place. We met some great friends here, and the owner is really nice. He works in the kitchen. Everyone who works here is nice, but it's just got just a classic look to it. You got these tile tables. You've got tiles on the wall here, and behind the bar, it just has such a great classic Portuguese look. It's the kind of place where you order some wine or you order a beer and they'll sit down some lupini beans next to your drink. So let me tell you what I got. This is called, so I didn't get wine, didn't get beer obviously. I got something called a Beirão. And this is supposedly the most popular liqueur in all of Portugal. Frankly, I mean, I see this in all the bars. I don't often see people drinking it, but I guess, I mean, it's in liquor stores. People buy it. They stay in business, so people are drinking it. It's nice. It's very herbaceous. So when you have this, you definitely get that anise flavor with it that's prominent. There's also like a cinnamon clove type to it, and it's sweet. It's a sweet liqueur. It's not like aguardente, where it's like fire water. You know, this is much more sweet. This is like an after dinner type thing maybe, but I imagine the Portuguese probably drink it all day. I would imagine you can make a nice cocktail with that as well. It might be good with just tonic, maybe some mint, something like that. I don't know if it would work with fruit juice. Maybe not. But just like a tonic Beirão cocktail, that might be good as well. But this is definitely one of my favorite places, and we come here all the time, so that's why we included it in our little neighborhood bar crawl today. We're in the Liceu neighborhood of Setúbal, and this is a neighborhood you're probably not going to come to if you're just here visiting and you're looking in the guidebooks, because there's not a lot of sites up here. This is more of a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood. But it's cool. There's a park up here. Let's say you're on vacation and you're missing your dogs. They've got a nice park over here that all the dogs hang out in the evening. So maybe you'll come by and you'll see giant doggy Rudolfo, this big slobbery dog, or our friend Lucky, or our friend Stella, John and Grit's dog. And that's how we discovered this place, Amoreiras, Cafe Amoreiras. This place is in the neighborhood. We were walking to dinner with our friends John and Grit, and we saw it, and I looked inside, and they've got teacups just covering the walls. And it looks like, or coffee cups actually, it looks like they're all different kinds of coffee cups, like Delta coffee and Cecile coffee and Cubano coffee. All the different coffee roasters and manufacturers are up on the wall. And then they've got some other ones like football clubs, like there's a Barcelona football club coffee mug up there. And this is also a very pro-Vitória football club cafe. They've got a bunch of Vittoria memorabilia on the wall, signed jerseys and photographs and stuff like that. And Vittoria is the football club of Setúbal, and kind of fallen on hard times. You know, not a lot of people attend their games. They're in, I think, the 3rd or maybe even the 4th division of Portuguese soccer. But back in the day, they were a club to be reckoned with. In the late 70s, early 80s, they won the Portuguese championship. And if you know anything about European soccer, the name, I think it's Jose Mourinho. I think he coaches Roma now, but he's from Setúbal. Like, he is from this town, and the people in Setúbal are very proud of that fact. So there's a lot of pride around Vittoria, even though the team, you know, hasn't been good in many, many years. So what I got here was, this is like a lunch cafe type place. It's also a bar, and they had different kinds of liqueurs in there. I just got a little glass of red wine. Comes out of a box. Don't be afraid of boxed wine in Portugal. A lot of bars will serve you boxed wine, and in general, it's very, very good wine. So you don't need to worry that it's going to be crappy boxed wine that you might get in the US. Quality of boxed wine here is usually pretty good. She charged me 80 cents for this. Totally reasonable, I guess, for a glass of wine, right? And it's pretty tasty. You know, I wouldn't maybe serve it if I was having a fancy dinner party at my house, but you know, for sitting around in the afternoon with João and Pedro and my buddies, talking on the street and sipping on a glass of wine, it's perfectly good, and the atmosphere here is great as well. All right, we're right on Luísa Todi, which is the main drag here in Setúbal. And this little hole in the wall is the club for the Union of Musicians and Recreation. Here in Setúbal and all over Portugal, really, your friends, your social circle is determined a lot by what club you have membership in. So you'll see the guys hanging out here if they were musicians or they were teachers of music, things like that. Music's a huge thing here in Setúbal. There's music schools here. There's lots of bands that play together, like formal, traditional Portuguese bands, singing clubs, things like that. This is one of the biggest ones. It's been here for, I think, 120, 125 years, something like that. They have a performance space upstairs. We saw our buddy the Disco Viking play up here a few months ago. It's a great spot, but they also have this social club down here. And the guys, it's mostly guys, there's sometimes women in here, will gather and play cards and play dominoes and hang out and have a beer, have a glass of wine. But these clubs, these social clubs, make up a big part of how you identify yourself, who you hang out with, where you live in Portugal. It's not so much, like in the US, I think a lot of your friend circle has to do with your professional circle. You have friends from work, and that's a lot of who you hang out with, at least for a lot of folks. Here in Portugal, it's more about your social club. So there's motorcycle clubs, there's all kinds of sporting clubs, for soccer, for volleyball, for sailing clubs. And then there's associations also for professions like teachers and for musicians. So this is a music club, and I just think it's really a cool place to come. I got a glass of Moscatel. Now, maybe you saw my video on Moscatel. This is the famous fortified wine from Setúbal, from this region. And it's like port. It's very similar to port. And it's drunk all over this region. You drink it straight, you drink it in a cocktail, you drink it with sangria, all different ways of drinking it. I like it straight. It has some sweetness to it, but it's a really good drink. It's very nice. I've had the wine here before. If you happen to come to Setúbal, this is one place I would tell you don't get the wine. They serve, their house wine is one of the very, very few vineyards in Portugal that I do not like at all. I find their wine to be undrinkable. I'm not going to name them because there are probably people that think it's very good. Me personally, I don't. First time I came here, I got a little glass of wine, about half this size maybe. They charged me 40 cents, which I couldn't believe. 40 cents. And then I drank it and I said, you should be paying me to drink this. It's terrible. But anyway, that's one thing that I don't like. Everything else, good. And their Moscatel, it's very nice. Their house Moscatel. But these are the kinds of places that you would probably just walk by and not even notice. But you should come in here because you're never going to find a place more local than this, than the Society for the Union of Musicians and Recreation here in Setúbal. The guys who hang out here are great. The woman behind the bar is great. And it's just a totally chill place to hang out and have a Moscatel in the afternoon and do a little bit of day drinking. So that's our video for 4 of the best neighborhood bars here in Setúbal, Portugal. But these are only 4 that I picked out that I enjoy. I suppose you could do another 50 videos of 4 bars each and find 4 other great bars times 50 that you would enjoy. These are just 4 that I happen to pick out. And wherever you go in Portugal, you're going to find places like these to go and enjoy a snack, maybe a little light meal, and of course a little drink, whether it's a Moscatel, whether it's a regular coffee or it's a coffee with your aguardente in it. Your choice, but it's something you should definitely explore when you come here.
Nós não, as pessoas aqui vêm de propósito e os acessos não são assim tão bons para isso, mas eles cá vêm.
Muito obrigada pela vista, é maravilhosa e este santo dizem que, olha, ajuda tudo.
E a última página.
As atividades